We're toddlers following here. Okay, that's fine. I remember a young man in our youth, he was put under a senator. And at that time, everything was about spiritual fathers and the concept of spiritual fathers. And, you know, you didn't know what to do. It was like this false loyalty was ingrained in us, right, to that leader. And so he had to work through it because he was still in the this or that. Yeshua said it's not here or there. It's not this or that. It's within you. It's one flowing thing, right? But he was still in that, and so his leader was to lead him in the political world and show him how not to compromise, which was placed under him to follow until. Say until. You follow until. If you're always following, you're always a toddler, period. If you're following a doctrine, if you're following a belief system, if you're following who you call God, you are always going to be immature. In fact, Yeshua looked and he said, if I stick around, you guys are going to look to me. You're going to look to the external. You're always going to be immature. If you want your love, the truth of who you are to be complete, if you want to mature, you've got to go within. There's nowhere else to go. So that sounds beautiful. Yeah, we go within. But the process of untethering is extremely hard. How much of our lives have we spent concerned about what somebody else thinks? That's an energy. I mean, not fit, like trying to fit in the square peg in the round hole. Is that right? Or the round hole in the square peg. How much of our life, and I'm saying me, like evaluating. That's the untethering. The more you get free from that, the more you get truly free to just to be. Yeah. Not to be anything for someone, not to follow anything, not to follow any, even how we lived in the prophetic day. You guys remember that? So everything for us, and it was beautiful at the time. It's beautiful. The toddler needs to follow somebody. The toddler falls down. The toddler needs his Pampers changed. The toddler needs love. There's parts of me that are still the toddler. When he moved into the political world, that he had been fathered in this area, but now he needed to follow until he became. And so it's not a bad thing, but it is a level of maturity. Right? And so at what point in my life, at what point in your life do you need no man to teach you? And you can do an area by area. I'm not talking about screw the world, I'm on my own, I don't need it. But because I'll know there's an area, it might be you're going for the Senate, you know. It might be in the training in your job, like you're under teaching and you're training in this medical, you know. But at what point then you're like, you fully move into it. You embody it, okay? Not everyone's going to make this decision, but I believe that those that are, that my voice may impact, have made this decision or are looking at this, okay? I believe that we are here to fully incarnate. In bodily form, that means a deity, a spirit, a soul fully embodies this glove, this personhood. Fully become you. That's the challenge. Just you. A follower can never fully embody their own self, right? So we looked at, back in the day, we were called all-inclusive, and you realize if I'm encouraging you to fully become you and you to fully become you, then it's your path. You've connected to your path, not somebody else's path. And then what we have to do is learn to celebrate everybody's path. Because what you try, and I didn't even see it, y'all. I couldn't see it until a couple months ago that, you know, the ingrained in me, probably some of you as well, but especially in ministry, is to always help somebody see something, to always help somebody move forward, to always teach in love, you know, thinking that's a mom, thinking that's a teacher, thinking that's a pastor, right? But I didn't realize until probably about 4 months ago that you can even take someone's sovereignty away with that. Because if you're here to fully incarnate, I don't need to try to get you to see anything I'm seeing. I need to encourage you in what you're seeing. And then when you tell me what you're seeing, I celebrate that. So, you know, you try it out with your kids because your kids are who you raised. And then they start becoming this or they start becoming that, and you just have to be in peace and you just celebrate, and you just, because you're, and how many times, that's not how I raised you. Or you don't, that's not who represents me. Well, they were never meant to represent you, you smart, you know what I mean? Like, they were meant to fully become. And so I asked my brother-in-law not this one, the other one, but I asked my brother-in-law that, just kidding. I said, what are you here for? Like, what do you feel like you're here for? Like, what are you in the earth for? And he said, just to, and I wasn't making it a spiritual question. It was just over coffee. He said, just to, love my grandkids, love people, be there for people. And I just sat there and just celebrated in my heart. And there's no need. That's where I'm going to meet him. That's it. So the beautiful thing about being online is people that are seeking out something more, they'll find the more, or they'll come to you with the questions for the more. The part that scares the hell out of me is when I know when somebody is what they are dealing with or where they are, and then they're pulling and pulling. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't think you're ready to hear what. Like, there's things I'm experiencing and seeing. I do not know I don't know, right? I just am really, I'm not saying that's impossible. I'm just trying to get really quiet to hear what to give. Because I heard clear as a bell spirit say, don't wake the baby if you don't want to hear the baby cry. Ooh. And so I know I'm saying things online that need to be said behind doors. Because the baby has been crying and calling me names. And you know what I'm saying? And so then I didn't realize, and this is, when I was talking, when Breck and I were talking, I'm like, if your 5-year-old comes up and asks how babies are made, you give them a 5-year-old answer. If your 15-year-old still doesn't know how babies are, you give them a 15-year-old answer. And so this is why I'm giving that whole explanation. This is why I'm going further underground. So this morning, I had a dream, and this is what woke me up. And we're walking. There's like 6 of us, and we were going to a meeting. And the whole city, it was like a big, I felt like New York, but I don't know. But it was dark. The whole city was dark, and we're walking. And it felt like maybe we're going at midnight. I mean, it just felt like we were going to an underground meeting. I knew that there was like 30 people, not over 50 people there. And we were talking. And I heard somebody say in our group, so these had to be trusted people, some of you all maybe, that they said, can you believe 70% of this country is without work? And I remember feeling, I thought I would feel different. Like I would be, I couldn't believe how untouched I was. Because you kind of, when you learn to live from within and in this place, you kind of have to look out at what's going on, right? Because you've released some fear or whatever. And then all of a sudden, fear kind of tried to blanket over me that people would be getting desperate. I just remember thinking we need to get to this meeting. And that was my dream. What percent did you say? 70. Yeah, I thought, I'm not saying that's the word of it, but I thought, I remember thinking in it that, the Great Depression or these different things that were totally manipulated and simulated from our government. Totally. None of it was accident. None of this is accident, okay? I thought that it, people talk about war or whatever, it feels like it affects everybody. And I remember going, oh, wow, almost like my life is good. And then I realized, dang it, I'm not aware of, what's going on. And then I realized, oh my gosh. But the telltale thing in that is people are going to get desperate. I'm not saying what's going to happen, but people are going to be manipulated when they're following something on the outside. There's many a slip. Their intention may be to fully, but that's not their belief yet. They're not embodied by that water. They're not living from the river. They're looking for someone to follow, and in between is where the manipulation is. You cannot control somebody that is governed from within. That's right. So when we are tapping into within our own memory codes, within our own being, there's memory in your DNA. There's light encoded memory of who you are eternally. It's great if you've remembered some of your past lives, but it's even past that. The empowerment, if you're going to fully incarnate, okay? Consciousness, okay? So your consciousness is what you're aware of. It's what you're aware of. Okay? So in that dream that I just had, I'm first aware of peace, my atmosphere, peace. I'm just living in this place of peace until somebody said what's going on in the world, and then I was aware of a fear, right? Or an urgency to get. So consciousness, you guys, when you came here, or the truth of who you are, or what you're aware of in your spirit, which I'm going to use the word soul for what we used to say spirit in Christianity, okay? There was never a subconscious or an unconscious. There was only consciousness until we entered this space of forgetfulness. Because there was never fragmentation or division or this or that. This is the unconscious man, or the subconscious thought, is a reality that's in this realm. In the higher realms, there's only consciousness. I'm not saying you don't grow in awareness, but there's no more fragmentation. So we entered this space. Is it too much for you guys? No. We entered this space of fragmentation to pull our consciousness back together. All of these things that when we say untethered, and I have just been thinking of you guys, it's where you've attached your consciousness, or we'll say where you've attached your identity. So where you've attached your identity unknowingly, those things need to collapse in order for you, oftentimes, to get that part of your identity back in order to be fully conscious. So if your identity has been in any of these systems that are in this realm, the medical system, the banking system, when you're counting money, that's why I'm laughing when I'm counting money, and I could feel fear. And then I could feel laughter if you won money and you're like, yeah, I won 10 million. I won the lottery, right? And then what's the difference if you had a pile of it here or less of it here, right? The difference is I'm in fragmentation, and I've attached part of my consciousness to that reality. There's no flow in fragmentation. There's no flow. In me, there's only flow. So these systems, we have to see the falsity because we've been so asleep. And what I mean society as a whole. We have to see the collapse so that we can fully become. We have no idea how fragmented we've been. So where I have lived under the rule of what my dad would think, what my mom would think, what my sister would think, what this religion would think, when I'm wringing my hands on what and taking into consideration anything else that's external, I am not living from within. A fully conscious person only flows. It's that river. This is why we can be at peace in all situations. This is why you're having to train your nervous system like you train a dog. We need to train Lady. Russell's nervous system's fine. You know what I mean? Like, he's fine, but Lady's just like, who do I protect you from? Which has often been my nervous system, right? Because when you start seeing the collapse of these systems, you feel it in your nervous system. It's not a bad thing, you guys. It's just part of being in this reality. But you learn to just sit with it. That's what we've been learning, neutrality. You sit with it. You go deeper within. Is there a real threat? You guys, we have been told what evil is. Yep. So then I see a creature standing in front of me that looks evil. The beings that protect me are not what we would call beautiful in this realm. They are not beautiful, but they are beautiful. Because I've already released what somebody else defined as beautiful. And so here's a kicker, and this gets me, okay? And I mean, you guys have heard this, but these are the type of things I think about all the time. You're experiencing your belief system. That's what you're experiencing. So if you in your dreams, in your visions, in your encounters, people that cross over to the other side that experience hell, they're experiencing it in their consciousness. It's not eternal, but it was already in their consciousness. It's not forever. So people come back. I remember hearing the stories when people came back and they saw the gold streets and they experienced what they were told heaven was, or people that cross over that see Yeshua, people that cross over and they see their grandpa. I've taken people through enough, inner healing that when they see in their mind's eye, I'm like, I used to say, back in the day, we would have them picture Jesus. That was before I realized that the picture that we all have in our head was one of the Pope's sons. I'm not kidding. Look at your history. That white guy is not Jesus, and his name isn't Jesus. Jesus meant Hail Zeus. It's Yeshua, but that's another story. So you would have them picture Jesus in there, and so they picture something safe. It wasn't about what they were picturing. It was about what their belief system was for them. A lot of people couldn't. They couldn't because they were hurt by religion or whatever. And so this is what I learned to do. This is when we would take the people through sozo and inner healing. Okay, I want you to, who's been safe in your life? Some people didn't have parents that were safe. You know, some people were hurt by, and so I remember this one person, my coach, my third grade coach, we'll just say. And so this is what I would do. I would take them through complete inner healing, and their third grade coach was leading them in their mind's eye. Can you see him? Yeah. You trust him? Yeah. I want you to ask him. The way we were taught, ask Jesus, da-da-da-da, until. He was experiencing his belief system. Until. So we're learning as we've matured to sit with it and release the beliefs. There's only one way out of your belief system, and that's shavuk. When Yeshua said, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing, that's the Aramaic word shavuk, which meant I release this reality altogether. It did not mean pardon. They changed it in Latin to like pardon. You have sinned against me. They needed it to be about morality in order to keep money in the church. That's all. That's why they did it, you guys. They needed it to be. They needed you to be in shame so they could keep money in the church. They had to. How insane is it that we believe that when you die, you either have eternal bliss or eternal punishment according to your behavior? Do you believe in a God that would create humanity, knowing what we're capable of, and then planning to punish them for what you created them to be capable of? It's insanity. It's this or that. And I mean, we bought it. We paid for it. It's still in our body, y'all. It's still in our memories. If you've ever dealt with shame, if you ever want to shrink back, everything we're going to define. What I want to define today is what is fear and what is love. I told Wendy last night, because she's just been learning to sit with fear. You treat this part. You treat your nervous system. You treat your mind like a baby. You love it. You heal it. You don't resist it and tell it to grow up. There's not a monster in the closet. Grow up, you know. Of course, the sheet over your head never protected you from the fake monster in the closet. None of it was real. But it's ingrained in us, y'all. Or we wouldn't have subconscious or unconscious thought or experiences. Triggers. Okay? So in this process, you sit through this avatar. You sit through this part of you that has been colonized to get to that river. And then you see. And then laughter comes. Laughter comes. And then don't let anybody define to you what is good and what is evil. That was never the point. You don't let anybody define to you. I've had visions, or I say visions. I've had encounters, and I've learned to say, I only want divine truth. When I do that, everything changes a couple times. Because, I mean, I'll bring it back to the light. Remember I told you how many times we went one time on a mission trip to Dominican. 32 young people. Let's see. I don't want to exaggerate. 4 of the girls got a word from God. I mean, we taught them how to hear God, how to confirm it. This is awesome. This is a word from God. 4 girls had a word from God that one guy would be their husband. 4 of them. He just happened to be the best looking guy there and carried a guitar. You know what I mean? Like, it was like 4 girls, man. God said it, okay? And guess what? The one that never said a word is the one married to him today. And God told her to, but she sat on it. My point being is your soul will confuse you. Your soul has been fragmented, your mind, your emotions. I'm not condemning those girls, but how many times have we thought, and then this is what's so insane. This is what's so insane about this reality. We think this is what God did, then God didn't come through. Or the devil took it away. We don't take any responsibility that it was you. And the reason we don't take any responsibility is because ingrained in us is there's shame in that. I thought things would end up different too. You know what I mean? But now I've learned to just sit with it until I see. Sit with it until I see. There's no shame. There's no blame. But if we want to fully become, and that's what we're here to do, fully incarnate. That word incarnate is for a deity or a spirit to fully embody, to come in bodily form. You guys ever walk around and just see all these apocalypse movies, or what are those people that eat people? Zombies. Those people eat people. That's kind of what's happening. You just drive around and you're just like, is anybody home? Is there a light on anywhere? Seriously. But to fully bring the life, you are a door. You are a door. You are deity's door. You are a door of the eternal. This is your opportunity in this realm. Now you can learn and you can manifest here and you can manifest there and you can do this, but it's all, if you're on this journey, it's all to teach you who you are. It's not to build another kingdom here. They're all coming down anyway. So that scripture, I won't write it out, but John, first John says, Allah is Hube, which God is love. They're trying to describe who the Creator is. Allah, which means the Almighty. I don't know who He is. The fact that we think He has a name and we're fighting over His name is our own ignorance, right? Is fire, and it's a type of fire. This is what he was just trying to describe. Okay, it's a type of fire that word Hube, which we described as love, which is just English language is really dense. I mean, it's dumb, but is when you set the fire and then you breathe on it. It's keeping the coals hot. It's purposeful. But we know that fire transforms everything. So first he establishes that God is that. I don't know. There's all these other gods going on. There's all this control. There's all this political BS. We don't know. We're in confusion. But I know that the Creator is fire. The Creator is a consuming fire that's transforming everything. It's painful for those that don't want the fire because listen, it's painful because you don't believe you are that. When you realize that you are love, there's no more pain left. Because it burns up what's foreign. And you thought you were foreign. You thought you were the system. Your consciousness was attached, your identity was attached to your last name, to your face, to your gender, to your culture, to your mission. Mine was attached to my mission, right? But then when I realized that Sheila, Shishi, is a fire that transforms. I shapeshift, I move, I change. I'm the wind. Wendy was named Wendy because of the wind. That's so incredible. She's basically spirit. The pain is when we don't think we're that. So then he goes on to say that there's no fear in love. And that's what I want to hone in on real quick, okay? And I don't want to say things because I know that the first thing we do feel is fear, but I woke up this morning, I don't know if you guys have read on the news, but they passed through the House a draft. They want to pass a draft from years 18 to 26. It would be mandatory. Breck said 52 years we haven't had a draft. It's here, y'all. It's not here. I'm not playing. Like, we're not going to know what's going on if we don't go within. So here's the deal. When Darren transitioned, by that time I knew that fear was an energy. That I knew then, what can you do with an energy? You use it. It can drive you forward, okay? And it drove me within in order to hear. So even though you feel it, and it's going on all around, there's this deal that we've walked through with our granddaughter is we know we have to hear. You feel the fear, you feel the threat, you see what's going on in this reality, but for me, I use that energy to alchemize it and go within in order to hear. So I move past it. I don't rebuke it. I don't tell my body not to feel it, but I go into that place where there's not a mistake because I'm not following anything. I'm not looking to anything outside. So he said there's no fear. Fear has to do with torment, confusion. It's not what you think. It doesn't mean you just feel afraid. Fear has to do with fragmentation, when you don't know what decision to make and you feel it in your body. That's what fear is. Fear is a result of this reality. It's this or that. is here or there. It's not flow. Fear is not flow. Okay? Fear keeps you looking like this. Fear looks for approval. Fear fears disapproval. This is why the great ones have to feel betrayal or loneliness or go through things like that. Will you walk it alone? You won't discover the fullness of you until you feel those things. That was what the St. John of the Cross was all about. The dark night of the soul. It was like it wasn't that the people came against what he said. It wasn't that the enemies wanted to kill him. It was his colleagues began to think he was a heretic and threw him in a dark dungeon. And that was that whole book, or what he began to write about, the dark night of the soul, because you don't fully know who or what you are in this reality until it's challenged. And there's torment in that. But the torment, when you have the mind to fully incarnate, can be used as an energy for you to go within and see. Every accusation, every enemy, every best friend that you feel betrayed by can be an energy to help you go within and see. And here, what I'm saying for my life, if not now, when? You know what I mean? If this isn't it, when is it? And, can I use you guys? Can I talk? Okay, so Charlie, how long ago, Charlie? 1 month ago, his heart was opened up, and they placed, we think, a Spanish heart in his body. He's wired up. He got a new heart a month ago. It's crazy. It's incredible. He's been sitting. We have the one chair in this room. And it's been so beautiful just to be a part of this healing and trusting the timing, even with the house or whatever, that these guys are here and they're getting just awakened to the truth of who they are. I mean, how crazy that your attention had to be gotten by that, right? Like, sit still. Okay. I mean, it's crazy. But talk about go within. Talk about going within. And you think it's for the heart, but it was bigger than the heart. It always was. And it's bigger than your family. But it's all encompassing because it's all consuming, because it's love. And that's what love is a fire that consumes everything. And as you don't forget this energy, you can go all the way without limitation. And this is why I would hold on to fear, not as a fear, but as an energy. This is why I would hold on to grief, not as grief, but as an energy. This is why I would hold on. I would see confusion, and it's laying in front of me, and it's here for you if you can go within its energy. This is what I prayed for, and I was like, how dumb that I used to pray like this. I want to be in a, like you're in a maze, and have you guys ever went through a maze with a pencil? And you get all the way, and you're like, oh, dang it, that's not it. And you go all the way, oh, dang it. That's been a lot of my life. And so then I was like, I want to hit the brick wall fast and hard. Like, I want to know this is a dead end, right? And that's the kind of stuff I would pray. Like, I remember one October, cut me like a pumpkin, little extreme, right? But the whole thing is, I don't want to be aiming for the right target and training for my whole life to know that wasn't the target at all. Yeah. And then I mastered it. I hit the target. That may not be you, but I am driven by why I came into this earth. And I do know why, and it is. I've seen me underground. I know who I am. I know that I'm here to awaken people. I'm really trying to listen to the timing of when I can say now and release that resonance that will awaken people. It's not for everybody. I don't want to wake the babies. I've woken a lot of babies, and they've been crying. So there is no torment, there's no judgment, there's no punishment in the fire. The consuming fire is what you are. The essence of who you are is love. The essence of who you are is God. You never were separated. You just believed you were. The loneliness, the betrayal, the darkness, the turmoil, it was all part of this experience for you to find you. And here's the thing that's so crazy. You set up the experience. Before you came here, you set it in place. You knew what it would take That's crazy. I heard before we entered this reality, us strategizing our lives and what we were going to walk through and overcome in order to incarnate. I'm not talking about every generation, but the generation that's here, the opportunity we have to fully be. That's why I'm taking a couple months and we're going within. And I just so appreciate you guys because I'm going to be more radical than I've ever been. And here's the deal. You lose friends in that. People don't understand that. I mean, Monica said to me the other day, you're probably the only, she said to me, I don't know if this is true. She said, you're probably the only person that really knows who I am. When you start seeing people not in their avatar, when you can see beyond that, when you can look into the eyes are the window to the soul, I can see the intention of why you came. The fear of going without or the movement, that's just all part of this experience. And it's all, if you'll use it, if you'll use that as an energy, you can go within and tap into what I can see. And some people would hide their eyes or hide their life from us when you can see them. And some people, all of a sudden, they go, it's like with Brick, it was like the first time somebody could see you. Like, we see you. We see who you are. All of a sudden, you guys. So there's no fear. There's no torment. There's no judgment. There's no fragmentation in Hube, in love. It doesn't exist because it's being burned up. It's being burned up by the very essence of who Creator is. Okay? And then he says, but perfect love casts out fear. That word perfect is complete. It means mature. There's a completeness. If I'm going to fully incarnate, if I'm going to be a full one, I'm conscious of all things, that's perfection. That's what we translate it as perfection. Then he goes on to say, perfect love casts out. That means drives out. That means throws out. This is a picture that somebody's in the garden and they're weeding the garden and they see the things that are going to kill the plants and they pull them and they cast them out. This is your earth. This body is your earth. For me to fully incarnate in love that has no condition, I have to condition this earth. I have to saturate this earth with the truth of who I am, which is unconditional love. Saturate. If I'm giving you any advice, saturate yourself with what love is. Not what your mind tells you what love is, not what your parents tell you what love is, not an expectation of exchange. It's not just benevolent. It's you listening and being true and falling in love with the truth of who you are first. We couldn't love each other. We've lived in fragmentation because we haven't known us. To fully know you is to fully know God. You guys, that's the door. There's not another door. There's not another door. Isn't that awesome and awful and crazy? And how much time have we wasted? You can experience love with your wife, but the door's within you. There's an experience, but then there's the incarnation. So he says the mature love, it's like it's weeding it out. I'm conditioning this avatar, this body, this nervous system, this mind. I've got to condition it. And I'm not kidding you guys. I'm going after this hard, and my nervous system gets shot. And then I go after it again, and my nervous system gets shot. I mean, right? Because this stuff that we've been seeing and believing is not real. We're standing in the middle of a stage play. Yeah. I'm telling you, then you start reading about it. And, I mean, every war was about money, y'all. And we're still feeling noble that we're going to send our men to war? And here's the deal about love, though. You're not looking for an enemy anymore. Come to me, enemy. This is why Yeshua said to love your enemies. It's those that are out of rhythm. It's the most powerful force in the universe because it is who Creator is. Fear is temporal. Love is eternal. So I'm no longer looking for an enemy to protect myself with. There's no longer this or that or fragmentation. Come to me. I'm going to transform you into the truth of who you are because I'm burning. Does that make sense? And so, man, if anything, I want you to see where you've had opinions and when you've placed opinions. Opinions are judgment. Yeah. And we've been conditioned. Every movie we watch, we're looking for the bad guy and the good guy. But Yeshua, when he fully incarnated, he came and he's like, I got you all. And then when he left that reality, he said, Shavuot, you don't even know what you're doing. I forgive all of you. I don't pardon you. You're not worse because you nailed my hands than this guy. That was what the church set in order. I want to show you a map. Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm going to grab a map.
Okay. So when Sheila was saying the opinions and even the belief systems that's we live out of our experiences, the thing that I was reminded of was when God told me, I want you to divorce the outcome. That outcome is the opinions that we had. The outcome is the belief systems that we had because of experiences that we think we have or our parents had or whatever. God saying divorce that and marry the process. That's the sitting with it. That's the learning. That's the being willing to hold it in a neutral place so that you can learn from it and you get to the river that's on the inside of you. And so I just want to encourage us all, let's divorce the outcome. Whatever the outcome is to you, however you framed it up, however you've decided that it's going to be because of a belief system or an opinion, let's divorce that and marry the process. Because the process takes you to the flow. The process gets you in the river. The process gets you in source. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so I just, when she said that again, it just stood out to me so strong. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What are we married to? What have we been married to? We've been married to the opinions. We've been married to the belief systems, and it's time to divorce that. Mm-hmm. It's really hard for me to get to. Just be neutral. And if you can get to that place, when your mind starts saying, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, if you stay neutral, you can get through it. You can get through it. This is it. You're still in your emotions of it. Mm-hmm. And so all these situations, y'all, that we're going through that are good, that are bad, your job, your mind starts racing, telling you a certain thing. And if you can quiet your mind and be neutral in it, you can see where you're going wrong. Yep. Instead of connecting to, oh, this is fear, so all of a sudden that's your new reality.
Right.
It's a bad thing. And there's so many things I've had to tell myself to sit down and shut up. Sit down and shut up. Quit thinking. You don't want to agree with what you just said. Quit being married to that thought. That is the Bible. Yeah. That is the gospel. This is what it is. Instead going, no.
Right.
This is not what it is. But I'm neutral no matter what, no matter which way it swings. And then it would swing this way. It would be hard and painful. Then it swing, and if you could make yourself do that, the beauty of it that comes through it is amazing to me. I have to keep reminding myself, oh, you're married to that.
Yeah.
You need to divorce that.
Yeah.
And get back to the process.
It hurt. I told you guys this last week, but it hurt. I sent a documentary out to a few people. And I do understand. Like, I'll go through times in my life, and it's like, don't listen to that. Don't watch, even if it's true, because where I am, it'll cause me to form an opinion or to move into fear because I haven't dealt with that yet. So I sent this documentary out, and my point is always, you can maybe hear it. Some of you aren't going to hear it because you won't know yet, but from me, like, is always to challenge every belief system so that you have yours from within. Right. Your mind right now, your mind is looking for this or that. That's what your mind is doing, all of us. So, we're going to replace new facts with old facts. That's what our mind does. So that's just the nature of it, okay? So the fear is created by the mind. Fear is created by the mind, okay? Okay? Love is the creator. And, like if you just go scripture-wise or whatever, the word heart is the center of man. So when it talks about go within the kingdom, the Malkuta, go within, right? It's the center of your being. This was so crazy, y'all. I did not know how literal that was. It's literal. It's literal. It's in your DNA. The drink of the water, the river, the life is in there. And you're bringing it forth. You're the one bringing it out. You're the door. That's why he looked at the Pharisees and he said, you brood of vipers, like you hypocrites. You wear masks and you stand in front of the door. Yeah. They stood in front of the door so people couldn't enter in because they're building their own kingdom. As long as somebody else is defining what truth is, it's not that that person is evil, but it's not your truth. It's always deception. Now, I know you're mad and you want to blame the pastor. I know you're mad and you want to blame the president, but it's us. It's us. When you look at the government and how creepy and false and fake, when you look at the Federal Reserve and how we've been owned, it's because we denied our own deity. That's why it's shadow work. There's nobody else to blame. See, as soon as you're pointing outward, it's the Democrats, it's the Republicans, it's Russia, it's none of it and it's all of it, but it's you. Yeah. And as long as you're pointing outwards, you're going to be very, very immature. And your experiences will be all the slips between a cup and a lip. That would be, I'm defining your experiences.
He said, yeah. Yeah.
So it's not about denying the mind. That's why that's the neutral part. You get neutral in mind. You feel it. Man, I would be like, my nervous system would be shot. I wasn't single since I was 17. You know what I mean? Like my nervous system. And I would talk to myself like a baby. You're okay. You're okay. We're going to go forward. I don't understand this. You're okay. In time you will. Right? So you love the mind because you can't fully incarnate unless you incarnate the mind. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the whole part. So you bring your whole being within the kingdom, within the core of who you are. And I hear things like this, Spirit saying, you were always greater than the systems. Yeah. How long are you going to pretend to be small? When you're blaming anything, it's not even about blaming you. See, that's what the whole setup was. I mean, blame this, blame that, blame yourself. Give me penance, give me money, keep me in. There's no blame. That's the neutrality. Because this person, this mind has been manipulated. It's been colonized. That's why you have to be so patient and so patient. But it's changing quickly. You know why it's changing quickly? Because, and this is what I heard clear as a bell, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Humpty are the kings in the earth. Some of them we considered gods. Some of them we considered political leaders, pastors, parents. If you are you the one in the story frantically trying to put Humpty together again? Trying to hold that system in place? Holding on to your identity? Holding on to your last name? Holding on, this is what love is. I got to keep the family together. Let it go. Doesn't matter if they're blood. Let it go. It looks like this. You want to see trust? You do not let your mind dictate to you what love is. Because your mind has been manipulated. And people will get you to serve them and they'll say it's love. It's whatever string I can pull. As long as you're in this space, I can pull your strings. And you do it because of love. I don't want to hurt their feelings. Listen, I said, I know I've been extreme. We were pastors, okay? We had people at Christmas Eve dropped off at our house, and we lived in the middle of town, you know. Everyone had expectations. We hated church picnics. Sorry, you hate it because the whole construct is pull on the man of God, pull on the, you know what I mean? Like, because we still were this or that in the hierarchy, okay? And so, you know what Sheila did? I hid most of the time. I would go straight to my room and hide. I would panic. I don't want you to want something from me. I want to help people to go within. Yeah. I'll give you my personality, but I want to just give what you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that is the reason, which, you know, I'm balancing out, but that is the reason. As soon as the phone would ring, my heart would clench. Seriously. Because how many of you guys have ever dealt with that? You don't know when you're about to answer that phone, if it's going to be a quick minute or a long time, right? And not with people I love and trust. But what you realize then is it's just been the immaturity of us wanting from somebody on the outside. Now, this is what I will tell you. The people that heard that the most are the people that don't do that anyway, so don't worry about it. We always had people say, I know that you're busy. I know this. No. It's, you know, when people only look from the outside and they're just like energy suckers, right? And you're like, dude, it's not the fact that I'm rejecting you because you're an energy sucker. It's the fact that you are sitting on a freaking, atomic bomb and you won't tap into your own energy. I mean, what do you think an atomic bomb was? It was the splitting of an atom. Where do you think the atoms are? It's all within us. Every bit of, in real life, like in real, the power that's within our cells. It's literal. But the dumbing down was to look elsewhere. So, so perfect love, mature love casts out. When it says cast out, that word is outside the doors. Here's my space. All of a sudden, I'm walking. All of a sudden, I feel anxiety. I feel my nervous system. I have to sit with it until I can find that weed and cast it out the door. You're only responsible for you. This is your kingdom. What messed us up is we started leading people without fully becoming. That's it. Without fully becoming. I'm not talking about when we walk together, but look to me, and I mean, oh, man, oh. Okay. Perfect love casts out fear. For, that word for is because, or it possesses. Fear possesses punishment and torment. The mind possesses punishment and torment. The mind is looking for facts. My heart hurt when I sent this out, and then someone said, well, actually, factually, and they gave me some facts. That's why last week I wanted to challenge what we think facts are, because there's nothing to hold on to but love. Everything else is unfolding. Does that make sense? Give this to you guys. It's on my phone. It's hard to read this map. These are the type of things that are coming out on like Fox News. I'm not kidding. Just right out there. And I don't know if people even understand it, but this is basically a map of who's been in control in the tethering, all the tethering of our government. What they don't understand is you get right in it, and it talks about the Anunnaki. It talks about the Council of 13. We've seen the Council of 13. It talks about beings beyond this reality. This is now coming to the front and center, and people are being aware of it. But it'll be another thing that the leaders manipulate when we're in our mind. It'll be another thing. Do not believe what you see. Do not believe what you hear. Go within and know. In everything. In everything. And so with it, and here's the deal. Spirit, love, you will speak in peace. It got me. Breck said a couple months ago, he said, when I heard, and we meant like directionally hearing, like the voice, that one voice, he said, it's always been my voice. I was like, oh, that got me. Because I was conditioned that it was a voice of Jesus, a voice of Yahweh, a voice of a God on the outside of me. But once you sit with it, you realize it's you. I'm not saying there's not those things, but you're experiencing you. Not everybody hates you in this room. The world isn't going to hell in a handbasket. That's you. That's just one reality. And that's why we expand so quickly when we're willing to sit with other beliefs or other cultures or other ways of thinking, when we're willing to sit with it and not judge it. If you want to expand quickly, you get around people that you don't agree with or they're on a different road and you just don't judge them. And you will expand. And you will see and you will be and you will allow God. You're a door. So, you guys have heard me say this. I mean, it was like a week before Darren passed over, and he's in complete pain. He can't breathe. His chest is so, when he coughs, and I will say this, it's been beautiful because this is where Darren's at. And Darren would go walk around. I'd make him go walk around the track. And here's Charlie, who's was very close with Darren, had an encounter with Darren, and he's here healing. As we're ending this season of the house, it's just so poetic. It's so beautiful. And it wasn't that one died. There wasn't a loss, because we know that there's no loss, but it was an experience. And so I get to choose if I want to fully experience this. And it's going to be very purposeful when your heart breaks. Because in the same place that there's drought, there's rain and there's joy. And you be very purposeful on what you want to enter into. I would allow myself to feel over here because we're human. And then I would jump in over here. And it pissed me off quite a bit because, you know, when Hunter has that tattoo that says celebrate, and Darren used to always say celebrate. I'm like, celebrate what? And he taught me just whoever's in front of you. When I heard Spirit, when Josie was in with India and said she wasn't going to come back, and she was crying, and she said, Mom, if God wants me to marry a Hindu priest so I can rescue children, that's what I'll do. And I heard Spirit clear, my oldest daughter, I heard Spirit clear as a bell say, who's more important, Josie or one orphan? And I said, neither, they're just the same. But my nervous system didn't think so. My mind didn't think so. And in that process, I let go of being at her wedding. I let go of holding her children. I let go of my part in her life because she's a sovereign, eternal being. See that process? And then Spirit brings up all what, at the time, our language was like the spiritual sons and daughters, and we had a lot. We had a big old house and had them everywhere. And I had to grieve it because my consciousness, my identity was fragmented because I thought that this and this and this made me me. And nothing makes me me but me. Nothing. It is such a different place as I'm walking with this man because it's not out of need. There's a need like in this level, but we started our relationships out of lack. You complete me. Nobody completes me. Nobody completes you. It's great doing life with you. But if you want to fully become, you are a sovereign being, just you. And even if you're looking to that outside of just the experience and the joy, right, then that'll be collapsed as well. I'm not talking about just through transition, but they won't meet that need anymore suddenly. And you're like, oh, I just don't love them anymore. Well, that's one way of doing it. You can try 6 more. But you came here to fully get your consciousness, to fully understand who you are. So you understand in the rejection, in the loss, in whatever you're experiencing, if you'll use that energy to go within and see, you're going to fall in love with the truth of who you are. You're going to fall prostrate at the truth of who you are. That's what worship is. That's what fully incarnating is. It's not this little saggy person with an ego saying, I am God. You're not God in your small purse. You're going to be in the earth. You little cocky sucker. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be part of the earth, but is the earth part of God? Yes. Is it all being consumed? Yes. But can you know God without limitations? Yes. And we have the opportunity, and we chose a really hard time to be here, but we have the opportunity to know all things and to tap into it. We are learning things. We are traveling.
So last night when we was having an experience here, and we were all out by the fire, and Charlie was in here in his chair, and I got up from the fire and I said, I'm going to go in and turn on some meditation music and just be with him. Because he's been having a hard time sleeping, y'all. He's only been getting like an hour or 2 of sleep at night. Yeah, 21 meds. And so Sheila had put this fan on for him just to create some noise in the room before we went outside. And I come in and I walk in and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And literally I walk into an atmosphere and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I told Sheila, I said, my nervous system, like I'm feeling fear immediately. Like, what is this? And I walk over and these chimes are playing. They're singing for him. And what's crazy is we like to go to bed to music, and he loves the Himalayan bells. And so I walk in, and I'm like, what's going on? I said, okay, I'm just going to turn my music on. And Breck walks in, and I said, Breck, do you hear what's going on? Breck's looking at me like, what the heck? And then it starts playing again. And he's like sitting there, and you could explain it away because the fan was going, had nothing to do with the atmosphere. And so last night I just sit down on the floor and I turn meditation music on, and I'm listening to these things just play. And Breck sits down and he lays down in the floor, and he is sleeping like a freaking baby in the chair. And I'm like, these things are singing for him. And so anyway, I just sit down and I go into a meditation. And I told Sheila this morning, I said, I heard. So this is one thing I'm learning is that Tammy Allen, I had got a word from myself, and it was to seek wisdom. And she told me, she said, you hang on to that because that's what I'm going after. Well, wisdom is encoded in my DNA. Wisdom is who I am. It lives in me. And so I'm sitting there and starting the meditation. I'm dealing with my nervous system. I got a lot of fear going on. I'm like, what the heck? Because literally, y'all, when I walked in, and I hadn't even told Sheila this, it was like a portal was in the room. And I'm like, what is this? It was just the emotion. And I told Teresa and them this morning, I said, not only was this playing, but I heard music. And I kept asking Brett, can you hear that? Where is this? Like a cathedral, like it was just, the music was just playing. It was so wild. I could hear it, but I didn't know where it was coming from. And I sit there and I heard wisdom start speaking to me. I didn't know what it was first. And I heard wisdom say, surrender, surrender, surrender to the opportunity. And then I'm laying there and I'm going in, and I go in, and from the encounter I had in the living room in here, I thought, I'm going back into the water. I can go into the water. So I poked my head in, and next thing I know, I'm in the womb, and I'm talking to the baby me that's being formed. And she said, I'm just so excited to be here. And then next thing I know, I'm shifting, and I'm running with my twin. At preteen, we're running through this process. And so the whole night, I'm like thinking, what is going on here with him? He's sleeping like a baby. This is playing. Y'all, these things played for us till probably about 3 or 4 this morning. So I was so scared. I was like, what the heck? Yeah, so I end up falling asleep. I get up at 11:25 and I go to bed. And I kept thinking to myself, he's leaving. He's going to, if I know this is weird and I still don't understand it. Yeah. So I'm dealing with the fear that he is having an encounter. I don't know what's going on with him. And if he chooses to not come back. So I'm like, heck no, heck to the no. So I come in here at 12 o'clock and I wake him up because I want him to come to bed with me just so I could touch him. Because I'm telling you, it was so thick in the room last night. I don't care if it was just about him, and I feel like it was just about him. But I had an opportunity in the middle of it to enter into that, whatever was going on. And so he came to bed, and we literally listened to these things played to us last night. Yeah, it was so weird.
And here's the deal: you had an opportunity to also just enter into that.
Yes.
The torment.
I had to deal with that. I had to deal with it, and it was a constant. But it's here. I realize it's here, and it's happened. I told Sheila, I said I was dealing with my nervous system, but I wasn't going to miss the opportunity of what was happening.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I just went fully into it.
And that's the observer. When you realize, not when you become, the observer, then you also there's an allowance, all of the process. So, as an example, when I went to Ecuador to do ayahuasca, everyone told me, or not everybody, I hate those words, because not everyone, you think I'm walking down the street and everyone stops and tells me, like, when you're arguing or whatever, or your mind will be like, everyone hates me. Really, everyone? Yeah, anyway. Everybody, like, I don't know if you can speak for me. Anyway, people told me that get ready because the first feeling like you're going to die, okay? And so I'm ready. Before I got there, I already died. I already went through it. When you have this in the mind, it's okay to sit with it and go down to your worst fear if he is gone. And go sit there and look around and go, oh, I'm good. Because it's not that far. You know what I mean? And so you're not holding on anymore. There's not a cold grip. You know what I mean? Like you're doing this. And so anyway, I was prepared when I got there, and I just went right. First thing I saw, and I mean, you don't just kind of see it. You're in it. You don't just, it's not like a little vision. All of a sudden, you're just like, you're out of your mind. The first thing I did was I completely dissolved. I came into like particles, and I fell dead. But I already knew that if I'm seeing it, where am I? I'm the one watching it. You're the observer. You're the observer. And so once you just settle that and you become aware of that, that's what consciousness is. So you're not denying your humanity. You're experiencing it. And this is what I've learned to say to myself, especially when you're getting hit with a really negative report or what we perceive as, devastation. You say, well, that's one reality. Yeah. And it becomes a door. Yeah. You can have that reality if you want. Mm-hmm. No one's condemning you. You're condemning yourself. If you want to stay in shame and hold on to that reality, you can. Mm-hmm. And guess who's going to experience it? You. And then you may teach your kids that, but hopefully they're going to come to a place where they can experience their own doors, their own realities. So let's kind of end here. But in the mind, one of the things right before Darren, he can't breathe, he's barely talking. He's like, Sheila, there's only one voice. The reason I say that and preface it with that is when you're on a bunch of drugs and you have nerve pain and you can't breathe and your body's fighting for what? It's life. So then when you can find that one voice in that atmosphere, that's pretty damn good. That's what we're after, right? So he's saying there's only one voice, and I would repeat it. I recorded it. There's only one voice I follow, that will lead me. There's only one voice. We're doing that, okay? So the mind, which is fear, this is what's tethered to fear, okay, has many voices. So think about it. A voice is a frequency. This is when you don't know what to do. This is when you're wringing your hands. This is the many options, the many choices. Does that make sense? There's many. Yeah. There's many. Here's the other thing. There's many experiences. How many of you guys, Monica's one, love roller coasters? How many of you want to jump out of an airplane? Right? Okay, so these are experiences, but here's the deal. You choose them. You also are experiencing the fear, the torment that you are now experiencing. You're also choosing it. So I remember one time, Alex and Hunter were sitting in front of me on a roller coaster. And they were 6 and 7, 8 and 10. They were young. And their thing didn't latch. And they were hysterical. No, the seatbelt didn't latch. That's what it was. You know how they have a seatbelt and then the bar. So it was just the bar. And they're little. And this was it. We were at, and I just started praying in the spirit, oh my God. And I said, I'm yelling at them, scoot down, wrap your arms around it. And it was terror. It was terror. But it was terror that we chose. Yeah. Anytime you sit on a roller coaster and you feel, or one of those things, or you're jumping out, right? You do feel you could die. And you're facing it on purpose. Yeah. But here's the deal, okay? The truth of who you are, how powerful you are. Every time you're facing death or a bad report or you're in fear, it's on purpose, and you forgot. So you get to decide if you're in this, and this happened, and it's hard. It wasn't like you did it. I'm not saying that. But there's a higher space that knew that this would be part of your path. So I learned to say, why? I learned to go, where's the door? Where's the door? I want the payoff. David said, where's the booty? Oh, give me the booty. The loot. Booty being the pirate's term, right? But also he got some booty because he got the king's daughter. But here. That's the name of this. David got the booty. No kidding. But he goes to the king, and he's like, okay, if I kill this giant, what do I get? What do I get? And he's like, well, you can have my daughter, you can have these lands, all of this. So that's what I do. I'm in this situation. He needs to go to HEB. That's what I do. I'm in this situation. What do I get? What's the strategy? I'm not saying that it is a game, but if it is Survivor, all these reality shows we've seen, why are you in this situation? To be overcome by it? To be in it for the next 30 years? Or how do you get out? How do you not do this again? I'd rather not do this again. And not in the sense of slapping yourself or whatever, but there is some loot, some booty in it. Okay? I won't make that joke again. All right. So the fear in your mind is many voices. That's how you recognize it. That's what torment is when you're listening to many voices. Okay? Anything external. Listen, fear is not just when you feel afraid. Listen. I want to help you find where you're operating from that energy. When you're following another voice and you're meant to let go, it's still fear. So I wonder if Sheila's right. I wonder if this doctrine's right. I wonder if this doctrine's right. I wonder if this doctrine's right. When there's many, you're operating in fear. When you're looking for facts, oh, that's your ego. I finally nailed down facts. I know what's going on in the government. Do you? I finally have facts. I mean, we're yet to discover you, and you're sitting right in front of us. Okay? So that's always the ego. That's always the mind. That's always the smaller self. And you go, okay, I hear you. I hear you. She had opportunities right there to what she wanted to experience. There's the doors. In love, the truth of who you are, the fire of the Creator, that's what they described it. Love that has no condition. It only has one direction. It just goes and expands and it consumes the truth of who you are. In love, there is no many voices. There's no more many voices. That way you can go through something that's really hard. You can recognize those voices. You can love those voices. You can see where you attach your consciousness to what you thought was true, and you get that back. And you move your body, your whole body, your mind, your body, your heart, your life into that one flow, into that one voice, into the truth of who you are, which is what incarnation is. The core of you, the truth of you, what's hidden in your DNA, the secret, the booty, is only one voice, one frequency. That's it. It's just one. You don't have to wring your hands anymore. So the beautiful thing about living in the prophetic is once we found that, we dropped everything. We dropped everything. Man, when I clear my space and I'm listening, and that's what I'm doing right now, I know that I'm going to hit the target. I'm here to. That's what I'm here to do. You might just be here because you want to experience many. You want the amusement park. You want to feel the fear. That's okay, right? That's okay. But in it, when you create space and you're just in it, then you know when you're only in one voice. But here's what happens. I jump as fast as I can, like out of the airplane. The hardest part was it going up? I would think the hardest part would be going up. I'd be like, right? Or did right before you get to the door, if you give any thought to it right before, did you do it fast?
No. I think the hardest part is once you get to the edge,
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
then it's a choice.
It is a choice? They still give you a choice? That would be the hardest part. Just close your eyes and jump. Right. So that's what I've done. Not all the time, but that's what I would done. I would hear, I would see, I would know. This is it. And I mean, I just jump. And then afterwards, what comes in? The many voices. They're still there. They're coming for you. Opinions, where I valued opinions. This is how I started. All of a sudden, I heard from the one voice. I jumped, and then I tried to govern through all the other voices.